The Black Sabbath lead singer Ozzy Osbourne has died at the age of 76.
Picture this. After more than 4 decades of marriage, a woman sits down and decides to tell the world the truth about her husband. Not the glamorous parts that everyone sees on television or in magazines, but the real, raw, heartbreaking truth that she's kept hidden for years. This woman is Sharon Osbourne, and at 72 years old, she finally opened up about the man the world knows as the Prince of Darkness, her husband, Ozzy Osbourne. Sharon didn't just wake up one day and decide to share these painful secrets. No, this was something that had been building up inside her for years. You see, when you're married to one of the most famous rock stars in the world, people think they know your story. They think they understand what your life is like. But Sharon's reality was far different from what anyone could imagine. For decades, Sharon has been known as the strong woman behind Ozzy Osbourne. She's the one who managed his career, fought his battles, and stood by his side through addictions, scandals, and health problems. But what people didn't realize was just how much this incredible woman was carrying on her shoulders. The weight of keeping their family together, protecting Ozzy's reputation, and dealing with problems that would break most people was something she bore mostly in silence. When Sharon finally decided to speak out, it wasn't because she wanted attention or sympathy. It was because she realized that staying silent wasn't helping anyone anymore. She had reached a point where the truth needed to come out, not just for her own peace of mind, but because other people going through similar struggles deserved to know they weren't alone. The first shocking truth Sharon revealed was about Ozzy's health battles that went far beyond what the public knew. Everyone was aware that Ozzy had struggled with drugs and alcohol for most of his life. The whole world watched as he fought these demons on their reality show, The Osbournes. But what people didn't know was how these addictions had affected his body and mind in ways that were truly frightening. Sharon shared that there were nights when she would lie awake, not knowing if Ozzy would wake up the next morning. She talked about finding him in states that were so scary, she thought she had lost him forever. These weren't just the typical rock star party stories that people love to hear about. These were life-and-death situations that happened over and over again, with Sharon being the one who had to make the difficult decisions about getting help, calling doctors, or rushing to hospitals. But the addiction struggles were just the beginning of Sharon's heartbreaking revelations. She opened up about Ozzy's diagnosis with Parkinson's disease, a condition that slowly steals away a person's ability to control their own body. When Ozzy first started showing symptoms, both he and Sharon were terrified. This wasn't something that could be fixed with rehab or willpower. This was a disease that would only get worse over time. Sharon described watching the man she fell in love with, the wild, energetic performer who could command a stage like no one else, slowly losing his physical abilities. She talked about how heartbreaking it was to see Ozzy struggle with simple tasks that he used to do without thinking. Walking became difficult. His hands would shake uncontrollably. His voice, which had belted out countless rock anthems, sometimes wouldn't work the way he wanted it to. What made this even more painful for Sharon was that Ozzy was embarrassed about his condition. He didn't want people to see him as weak or broken. So Sharon found herself not only dealing with her own fears and sadness about his illness, but also trying to protect his dignity and help him cope with the changes happening to his body. The emotional toll on Sharon was enormous. She admitted that there were times when she felt completely overwhelmed and didn't know how to keep going. She was not just a wife watching her husband suffer. She was also his manager, his caregiver, and the person responsible for making sure their family stayed together through all of this chaos. Sharon's revelations also included details about their marriage that showed just how complicated their relationship had been over the years. She was honest about the fact that loving Ozzy wasn't always easy. His addictions had led to behavior that hurt their family deeply. There were times when Sharon had to make incredibly difficult choices to protect their children, Jack and Kelly, from seeing their father at his worst. She shared stories about the constant worry that came with being married to someone with severe addiction problems. Every phone call could bring bad news. Every time Ozzy left the house, Sharon wondered if something terrible might happen. This level of stress and anxiety took a huge toll on her own mental and physical health. But P.S. the most heartbreaking part of Sharon's revelations was when she talked about the times she considered ending their marriage. She admitted that there were moments when she felt like she couldn't take anymore, when the pain of watching Ozzy destroy himself was too much to bear. She talked about the guilt she felt for having these thoughts, especially when she knew that Ozzy was fighting a disease, not just making bad choices. Sharon also opened up about her own struggles with depression and thoughts of suicide. She revealed that in 2016, after discovering that Ozzy had been unfaithful to her, she reached such a low point that she tried to take her own life. This revelation shocked many people because Sharon had always appeared to be so strong and in control. But her honesty about this dark period in her life showed just how much pain she had been carrying inside. The affair that Sharon mentioned was particularly devastating because it happened during a time when Ozzy was supposed to be focusing on his recovery. Sharon had stood by him through decades of addiction and health problems, and discovering his infidelity felt like the ultimate betrayal. She described feeling like all of her sacrifice and loyalty had been thrown away for a meaningless relationship with someone else. What made Sharon's decision to speak out even more powerful was that she didn't just focus on the negative aspects of their relationship. She also talked about why she chose to stay with Ozzy despite all of the problems they faced. She explained that underneath all of the addiction and illness, there was still the man she fell in love with all those years ago. Sharon shared memories of the early days of their relationship when Ozzy was just a young musician trying to make it in the world of rock music. She talked about his kindness, his sense of humor, and his genuine love for his family. Even during his darkest moments, Sharon could still see glimpses of that person, and those glimpses were what kept her fighting for their marriage. She also revealed how proud she was of Ozzy's efforts to get better, even when those efforts weren't always successful. She talked about the times when he would try to quit drinking or using drugs, and how heartbreaking it was when he would relapse. But she also emphasized that his willingness to keep trying, even after failing many times, showed her that he truly wanted to change. Sharon's revelations extended to their children as well. She opened up about the challenges of raising Jack and Kelly in such a chaotic environment. She talked about trying to give them normal childhoods while also dealing with the constant drama of their father's addictions and health problems. She admitted that there were times when she felt like she had failed as a mother because she was so focused on taking care of Ozzy. But Sharon also shared how proud she was of how her children turned out despite all of the difficulties they faced growing up. She talked about Jack's strength in dealing with his own multiple sclerosis diagnosis and Kelly's journey to overcome her own addiction struggles. She credited their resilience to the fact that they had learned early in life how to cope with difficult situations and support each other through tough times. One of the most touching parts of Sharon's revelations was when she talked about the small moments of joy that she and Ozzy still shared together, even as his health declined. She described quiet mornings when they would sit together and talk, or times when his sense of humor would shine through despite his physical limitations. These moments reminded her why she had fallen in love with him in the first place, and gave her hope that their connection was still strong. Sharon also discussed the financial stress that came with Ozzy's health problems and their family's struggles. Medical bills, treatment costs, and the expenses of maintaining their lifestyle while dealing with constant crises had put enormous pressure on their finances over the years. She revealed that there were times when she worried about their future and whether they would be able to afford the care that Ozzy needed. The decision to go public with these personal details wasn't easy for Sharon. She knew that sharing such intimate information about their marriage and Ozzy's health would open them up to criticism and judgment from people who didn't understand their situation. But she also realized that keeping everything secret wasn't helping anyone, including herself and Ozzy. Sharon explained that she hoped her honesty would help other people who were dealing with similar situations. She wanted wives and husbands of people with addiction problems to know that they weren't alone in their struggles. She wanted families dealing with serious illnesses to understand that it was okay to feel overwhelmed and scared sometimes. She also hoped that by sharing her story, she could help reduce the stigma around mental health issues and addiction. Sharon pointed out that society often treats these problems as character flaws rather than medical conditions that require proper treatment and support. By being open about their family's struggles, she hoped to encourage more understanding and compassion for people facing similar challenges. Throughout all of her revelations, Sharon made it clear that despite everything they had been through, she still loved Ozzy deeply. She acknowledged that their marriage hadn't been perfect and that they had both made mistakes along the way. But she also emphasized that their love for each other had been strong enough to survive decades of problems that would have destroyed many other relationships. Sharon's courage in speaking out at age 72 shows that it's never too late to tell your truth. Her willingness to be vulnerable and honest about the most difficult parts of her life has inspired countless people who are dealing with their own struggles. She proved that even someone who seems to have it all together can be fighting battles that nobody else can see. The impact of Sharon's revelations has been enormous. People around the world have reached out to thank her for her honesty and to share their own stories of dealing with addiction, illness, and family crisis. Her bravery in speaking up has started important conversations about the reality of loving someone who is struggling with serious health problems. Sharon's story also highlights the incredible strength that it takes to be a caregiver for someone you love. She spent decades putting Ozzy's needs before her own, often at great personal cost. Her willingness to sacrifice for her family while also maintaining her own career and identity is truly remarkable. As Sharon continues to share her truth with the world, she serves as an inspiration to anyone who has ever felt like they had to keep their struggles secret. Her message is clear. You don't have to suffer in silence, and there's no shame in asking for help when you need it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply tell the truth about what you've been through. The heartbreaking truth that Sharon revealed isn't just about one famous couple's struggles. It's about the reality that many families face when dealing with addiction, illness, and the challenges of staying together through the worst of times. Her story reminds us that behind every public figure is a real person dealing with real problems, and that compassion and understanding are more important than judgment. At 72, Sharon Osbourne finally found the courage to break her silence and share the truth that she had been carrying for so many years. Her revelations have touched the hearts of millions of people and shown that even in the darkest times, love, honesty, and hope can still shine through. If Sharon's incredible story has moved you and opened your eyes to the struggles that so many families face behind closed doors, please show your support by hitting that like button. Share this video with someone who might need to hear Sharon's message of hope and courage. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories about real people facing real challenges with incredible strength and grace. Your support means everything, and together we can help spread awareness about the importance of mental health, family support, and the power of speaking your truth.